Sooner Scoop HD.
Obviously, Texas, Iowa State, close games you end up on the wrong side of, but you go to Texas Tech and get that kind of win in overtime. Just what was the difference? What did you see different from your team to kind of pull this one out in overtime? And just how big is it to come out on the right side of this on the road?
No, it was really big for our psyche, and our belief. I mean, you lose two last possession, and they're all coming down to one possession. We played 3 games, all one possession. So in that environment, and the guys believe, close games, the margin for error is small. You got to, if your job assignment is to ice a ball screen, then you got to do your job. If your job is to deny through on an action, you got to do your job. And I thought we had a smaller amount of slippage down the stretch. They got some transition baskets that, watching on film, were really hard. They were going downhill in transition. I think they got back in the game with just attacking in transition in that atmosphere, but that was one thing. But I thought we made a lot of winning plays. A number of them. One sticks out in my mind is Sam Godwin came over to help, blocked a shot, came out of nowhere, blocked a shot, kept it in bounds. Grant got the 50-50 ball. We went down, and then Grant rolled and knocked us back to Sam for a dunk. Those are 4-point swings. Instead of that guy laying it up, we got 2. I thought we had 4 or 5 4-point swings by winning kind of plays. And I thought we did a good job of sharing the ball, moving the ball, and then staying together. I think in that atmosphere on the road, you got to stay together, and I think that's what we did well too.
What do you like? Porter, you talked in the lead-up about your guys' defense in the last 4 minutes of the game, and some of that was their comeback there in those transition points, but in overtime it held up. What did you see, if anything, that was different in the defense?
I think we got 2 stops down the stretch. When they needed the 3, we got to stop. We got to stop, I think, on the play before that. But we did get some stops in overtime. I thought those are the key. I mean, I thought we were really locked in on that last play. Los got a big switch to deny on the baseline. But it's just do your job. This level, it comes down to one game. You can't have a ton of slippage on guys not doing their job. If your job's to box out, box out. You got to have guys on every play. You got a job to do. Sometimes you're on the ball, have a job. Sometimes you're off the ball. But 5 guys got a job to do. It just when you got the ball and it changes, then your job changes. Now you're in help. But the margin of error is small. These games come down to one possession. You got to be really locked in on your job and your assignment and what you're supposed to do. And I thought our guys were really locked in.
Jalen Wilson's leading the conference in points per game, a little over 20. Just what are some problems that he presents?
He just looks like a whole nother level, like it's his team. I know Christian and Obaji last year, McCormick, they had some older guys, and he just looks like, all right, I'm now the leader of Kansas. And he just he scores from 3. He scores at the rim. He's got a terrific mid-range game. He's a 3-level scorer. He scores at all 3 of those places. But he just looks confident. He goes downhill off his dribble. He can rise up, and his shot looks as good as I've seen it. But he just looks so confident, and he just poses problems. When you can score at all 3 levels, from 3, mid-range, and at the rim, you become hard to guard, thus 20 a game.
Or did you have to say anything to Jalen Hill at halftime, or did he just sort of take it upon himself to be more assertive in the second half overtime?
I'll just share with you a funny story about Jalen. And, I got him. He's such a good kid. I got him pretty upset. I got into him pretty good at the Florida game. He had made a couple mistakes, and he got almost pissed off at me. And he went, and I remember his dad telling me, he's like, man, Jalen's such a good kid. Sometimes you just got to piss him off. So I'm like, all right, I'm listening to his dad. And so it was a sequence in the Florida game, and I took him out, and I held him accountable pretty hard. And he came back in, and he got an offensive rebound within 3. There was all Florida guys, and he got it and laid it up, and he just had this look in his eye. So he had missed I thought he missed like 3 layups, bunny layups in the first half. So we're walking off, I'm like, Jalen, I kind of got him like, you got to make those layups. So I got to make it. He goes, Coach, it was only 1. I go, I don't know what it was. I'm just trying to piss you off, Jalen. So I was just trying to get into him. And he didn't need it. He was locked in. I mean, he's really, his confidence is going through the roof, both ends. And just such a leader and key person for us.
We'll go to Jason.
Talking more about Jalen, when you have guys like Grant who are struggling, how valuable is it to have him, later down in the stages, in the close games, just him making plays?
Well, I mean, I don't think Grant played as well as he could in the Iowa State game. But I wouldn't categorize it as him struggling for a long time, and because I think he's been huge for us all year. But what it does give you is it gives you another guy that the rest of the team, the younger guys, can look at too, like in close game. I think, I was really impressed with Los in the first conference road game, his mentality as a young guy. I thought, Bijan's been through a lot of the games, and CJ has too. So, but I was really impressed that those guys in that atmosphere didn't look rattled. But it gives you an older, if along with Grant, it gives you another, in Tanner and Jacob, with Jalen, it gives you another guy that, like, man, they've been here before. We can follow him. We can jump on his coattails. And I think what our guys are doing, and what we're hoping they're all doing, is they're jumping on his coattails defensively. The first thing we did in our Get Better tape yesterday was to show a sequence of Jalen doing about 4 things on one defensive possession. And that's how we started it. It's like some people think they're playing hard, but this is what playing hard looks like. And there's a difference between playing hard and playing completely competitive and intensely. There is a difference. Everybody somewhat plays hard, right? But then the line above playing hard is competitive, intense, totally immersed in your job. That's a level from playing hard. Because you can play hard and all of a sudden you're like, oh, he went back door on me. Jalen is immersed in just playing intense, competitive, locked in, and that's what I hope the other guys are following him on, his lead. That's what he brings.
Go to the back right with Josh.
Yeah, of course, when I ask you about Falk, just what sets it apart from other places you've coached and played in your time, and is there anything you tell the guys who have been there, Grant and Los, anything different to mentally be ready?
Well, you played in gyms that are packed, but sometimes you don't have 18 to 20,000 packed. Then they get it going, and they're right on top of you. They're really loud. The only thing we're really talking about is communicating, because like the same thing at Tech. There were times where I could be talking to you this far away, and you couldn't really hear my voice. So you got to be, communication is key on these environments. That if you're switching, that you're yelling out a switch. If a ball screen coverage, that defensively you've really got to err on the loud side. You've got to really overdo it. And offensively, we're communicating. The guards got to communicate what we're in. I got to communicate, with thing. But communication is one of the biggest things. And the other thing we talked about was when that crowd gets going, follow it with good possessions. The crowd's trying to get you to speed up and have a turnover, to speed up and take a bad shot. When those bad shots flow and bad possessions flow, when the crowd's going, it even goes up another decibel. So there's gonna be points in the game, the crowd's gonna be going crazy. All right. That's when what we talked to them about, that's when you need a great possession. All right? Great possession. Not just come down and have a horrible possession, be soft with the ball. So if you really got to get locked in on those good possessions when that crowd gets loud, because it's just massive how many people are there, and then the decibel levels it's very high.
Joey.
I think Tanner fouled out with like 5 minutes to go the other night, and you guys played the final 5 regulation overtime without him and win the game. What does that say about just the depth of your roster, other guys being able to step up when you lose such a key piece like that? And are able
Sam's played a lot of quality minutes this year, and he's been in a lot of key times. I know he was in a bunch down the stretch of the Ole Miss game. So I think he has confidence. We have confidence in Sam. We went to a small ball lineup with Jalen at the 5 too, and I thought some good things happened out of that small ball lineup. But obviously we want Tanner on the floor, but the minutes and the production that Sam has done this year, I think the guys, I mean, we were totally confident. Sam had a huge possession. You talk about winning plays, difference of different things. Sam also, late, got that offensive rebound. Then they fouled, but they, of course, were not in the bonus yet. And then we took it out of bounds, and that's when Los got it. He made that spin move basket. That's 2 manufactured points by Sam's winning effort to go get that loose ball. Those are winning plays. I mean, that in the box score, it showed up that Sam got an offensive rebound. But it really was an extra possession that led to 2 points because of they fouled, we got out of bounds, and we scored an out of bounds play. So, the minutes Sam's logged, it wasn't like, I mean, we love when Tanner's on there, but if it wasn't like there was despair or panic when he went out.
We got time for a couple more. We'll go Jesse, then Eli.
Porter, just wanted to ask you about Bijan. You've talked obviously a lot about his passing, but he gets the good defensive play at the end of overtime. Just over these last couple of games, what is he showing you, just even outside his passing, in terms of his all-around impact?
I see him locked in, and I see him playing with a pace. He's really got it rim run. I mean, we were really moving the ball, I thought, as good as anybody, and Bijan was part of it. He had a middle cut dunk. He really set up guys. He's playing with a pace, but what I love it is I've seen a better pace defensively for him. And I mean, his pace is on both ends right now. And it started in practice, and then I thought the last 2 games he's really had a great pace, and I'm just feeding into that. That pace really helps us, and he's a better player with that pace. He's an outstanding player with that pace, and I want to keep feeding on that.
Eli.
I think if my research was right, last year would have been the first time you'd been to Allen Fieldhouse as a head coach.
As a head coach, yeah.
When was your first visit there?
As ever?
Yeah.
Assistant coach, Texas A&M, my first the year of the Big 12.
And as an appreciator of basketball history, this game, all of that, what struck you most? What were your first memories of that visit?
I just literally, in the Florida game, Roy Williams was sitting on the baseline. So while they were doing the announcements of the thing, I went and talked to Coach Williams, and I actually reminisced about that because it was our first trip to Lawrence, and Coach Williams sent a manager over to the hotel and had reservations for our coaching staff, Tony Baroni, at the best Italian restaurant in Lawrence. So Tony, being an Italian guy, is like, Coach, as we're doing, we got done with filming, we went over to a late night dinner at this thing. They had all this pasta for us and everything, and then they proceeded to beat us by 30. I'm like, Coach Williams must just soften everybody up. Go to this Italian restaurant, get full. We were all like, hey, this is great at Lawrence. And then, so that was our first year in the Big 12 that Texas A&M moved to the Big 12. That was my first time in Allen Fieldhouse, and it's just the how massive it is, and right on top of you, and not an empty seat, and they're all in unison. Special place.
Oh, we can fit one more in, Jason.
Coach, I know you've kind of talked a lot about Milos' confidence, career high from him. Is this the highest you've seen his confidence in an environment like that, and do you see it getting bigger moving forward? Like, where do you see from him so far?
Yeah, I think his confidence is really high, and I definitely see him with a bigger ceiling. He's a freshman. He knows he can get a lot better. But it's not just Los, but like when you start to get 15, 16 games and you've been regularly playing 20 plus minutes, you almost got to say to yourself, you're not a freshman anymore because you're playing non-freshman minutes. I mean, how many freshmen in the Big 12? Grady Dick? I mean, there's a bunch. Actually, this year, Keontae George, Lipsy for Iowa State. There's a lot, but those aren't normal freshman minutes. So you almost got to, you're not a freshman anymore. But his confidence is he believes in himself, which you have to. But he knows that we all know it. By no means do I think he's even close to his ceiling. Not even close. He's just a really good player for us right now, playing confidently, and we're confident with him. I mean, he had the ball in his hands a ton down the stretch. He gives you another guy. Sometimes when you only got one guy that you have confidence in with the ball, we're not like that. I mean, obviously we got Grant, Bijan, Jalen, Los. Those are guys. I love that CJ's playing the best basketball of the season for him. I mean, his last couple games, his practices, CJ's having the best run right now all season, and I see that snowballing, which only helps us. I've been talking about, hey, we got to have one of these other guys step up. CJ's doing it. CJ's doing it, and it couldn't happen at a better time in league play.
Sooner Scoop HD.